We're going to talk about Rome today, one of the most famous, if not the most famous city in the world. And I took the commission to do the photographs for this book, which was harder than I thought. A river touch Roma. Goodbye, goodbye to Rome. City of a million moonlit faces, city of a million warm embraces, where I found the one of all the faces far from home. Well, Rome has so much history, and it's the only place I know that has so many sort of aphorisms about it. Roma caput mundi, the capital of the world. You know, when in Rome, do as Rome does. And so on. So many, all roads lead to Rome. I mean, you can go on forever. But to do this, to sort of capture Rome in about 70 photographs is a rather foolish enterprise. It's a bit like trying to do Rome in 15 minutes as here. But and also it's a sort of city of so many different faces. I mean, you know, how do you sort of show a place that's so varied as this? And the first face it has is these huge monuments from antiquity, such as this one. The most famous one is of course the Colosseum. There you see, and I photographed it here in the modern day with all those crowds. I mean, this is one of the main problems photoing in Rome, in that you can't photograph anything without crowds of people there looking at it, you see. But I think I managed to sort of show the scale of it there with that photograph there. And then you've got other big monuments, huge things like this thing here. I mean, they're still building the bloody things, like this huge Victorian monument, Vittoriana, built at the end of the 19th century. And people sort of complain about it, they call it the wedding cake. But in a sense, I mean, in a sense it doesn't fit, because the marble's all wrong and everything, and its scale and everything. But on the other hand, it fits the spirit of Rome, really, because it's a big sort of show-off piece. It's a great big vulgar edifice that is sort of showing off itself to be, you know, how important it is. And there's others, of course, but this one here is my favourite, and that's the Castel Santangelo here. It's a lovely picture that's taken in the 19th century on the right there. Hadrian's tomb it was built as, and then it became lots of things, a pope's palace, and it became a prison. And there it is today. You can see it peeping around there from the River Tiber on the corner there. A huge building. And when I see the Castel Santangelo, I always sort of feel sort of melancholic. Mainly, I think, because of the of Tosca. If Tosca was set there, the woman who threw herself off the top of it when she found out that her lover had been shot for real, is executed on the top, Cavaradossi, and they thought they were going to use bullets, and in fact they tricked her, and so she committed suicide, and that's how the Puccini's opera ends. These things in Rome, I've called them massive monuments of melancholic meditation. How about that? And when you think about Puccini's work, the Il Maestro, you could call him the maestro of massive monuments of melancholic meditation, because his works are almost like that. His operas are no more so than Tosca itself. But when you consider the history of Rome, that was ancient Rome, but even so, that sort of thing carried on, like we've seen that Victorian, great Victorian sort of edifice to a king, Victor Emmanuel, whose line completely disappeared, and there it still stands. It's rather ridiculous. But of course, in the Renaissance, you've still got these huge things. I mean, this one here is probably the most famous building in Rome now. Here are all the crowds again, of course. I found this looking for the Pope in the 19th century there, all outside St. Peter's Square. And there it is, I photographed it today, with a few less people, but still plenty of them. And that's an extraordinary building, because it's sort of like a big Velga front it has on it, and you can't see the dome unless you get right back, because the frontage is so huge. It's out of proportion to the dome, and the columns and things round it are the square. But it gets away with it like the Colosseum does, and the Hadrian's tomb, because you look at this and think, fucking hell, bloody hell, how did they build that? And that's the sort of thing about them. Of course, there's a happier side of Rome, that sort of side which we have where we try to put that in the background, and in a way that's sort of like the flippant side of Rome, the happier time. You think about the place you go on holiday, and no more so than this building here, which is in the centre of Rome and is tucked away. A lot of big monuments and things are tucked away, and you discover them, you suddenly come across them, which is brilliant. This one, of course, is the most famous one of that sort, the Trevi Fountain, Renaissance Trevi Fountain, which you can see here, I photographed. And but it is tucked away in a small square, and is out of scale to the surroundings, which is one of the characteristics of Rome itself. And of course, well, if you're talking about the Trevi Fountain, 3 coins in a fountain, each one seeking happiness, thrown by 3 hopeful lovers. Which one will the fountain bless? 3 hearts in a fountain, each heart longing for its home. There they lie in the fountain, somewhere in the heart of Rome. Which one will the fountain bless? Which one will the fountain bless? 3 coins in a fountain, through the ripples how they shine. Just one wish will be granted, one heart will wear a valentine. Make it mine, make it mine, make it mine. I always think of that as the Rome of the 1950s, and people like Frank Sinatra and big American singers, you name them, they would all sing these sort of songs. And the first time that Americans could travel aboard on holiday, and they were the first international tourists, really, in the large, in the bulk sense, of being able to afford to go around. If this is Thursday, if it's Thursday, is it Rome, sort of thing, which is a bit unfair, because Rome, Americans had very short holidays. But I always think of the Americans racing around Europe, and no more so than in Rome itself. But it's a thing about Rome that I like very much. I like Italy. I've got a house in Italy, which I love. It's the past peeping through so much. You have to return to Rome, you know, keep coming back to it. And this thing about the past peeping through, where there's no sort of break between, well, ancient history, the ancient times, ancient Rome, right through to the present day. It's not as though there's a big break between, say, like there is in Britain, between, you know, when the Romans were in Britain, not far from here, of course, when they came ashore here. and then the Saxons came. There's completely breaks between these different sorts of styles of things, but in Rome it's all synthesized. One thing runs into another, and that's what I like about it. For instance, here you've got a let me just see if I can. This one, yes, this one is great. This one here. This building here, Roman temple to the god Portunus, the temple of Portunus, which is the god of the ports, to practice to help the ports and the people who work there. And you can see it's just built into this. A building had been built along the side of it, and I love that sort of way that those sort of things were done. One thing just turned into something else, and a thing was shoved up against it. Well, then it became, after in the Christian era, it became a church, the Church of Santa Maria Aggiatatus, I think it's pronounced, and it was instead of being the temple of Portunus to the port, it was a church dedicated to protecting prostitutions and prostitutes, which is a wonderful sort of thing in Rome. But then when Mussolini came along, and he sort of like smartened it all up, and there it is, standing on its own. There's a rather, which I photographed, which is one of the most splendid ancient Roman temples there are. But of course it takes it out of its context in a way, and I much prefer it in the old days when it was all jumbled up like that. And there's another one here that I love, possibly my most favourite place, is this one. It's the Theater of Marcellus, one of the oldest theatre, and they used to have ancient Romans had plays and things there, and they had tragedies. They actually murdered people on stage. Usually they were people who had been imprisoned, and they were murdered on stage as part of the play. Awful. But it stood the test of time, and it stood up, and it became a fortress in the Middle Ages. And then after that it became a sort of place where you could have an apartment. And when I was about 26 or so, I thought I'd love an apartment there, because they're very run down at the top of the building. And here it is now. It's been cleaned up a bit, and you can see there, and you can see the apartments right at the top there. There they are at the top there. And I thought I'd still like an apartment, because it's right in the absolute centre of Rome, near the Forum, and wouldn't it be wonderful to have an apartment there, literally living over the shop of history, to be absolutely there. It would be absolutely splendid, it would. Arrivederci, Roma. Goodbye, goodbye to Rome. City of a million moonlit faces, city of a million warm embraces, where I found the one of all the faces far from home. Arrivederci, Roma. It's time for us to part. Save the wedding bells for my returning. Keep my lover's arms outstretched and yearning. Please be sure the flame of love keeps burning in her heart. And one of the things I do like, if I had an apartment there like that, there's a very good restaurant. Well, there's good restaurants all over Rome, but there's one near there where I've eat when I'm there. And it has my favourite dish in all the world, which is veal wrapped in wrapped veal, and it's called salted bocca alla romana. And so, scusa, per favore, sì, subito, salted bocca alla romana, per favore. Grazie, subito. It's heating, it's coming, and I'm going to enjoy myself.